He's a very naughty
Very
boy.
naughty boy. Yeah. But it's the bit where they're talking about one of them wants to be called, is it Loretta?
Uh-huh.
The guy. And they're saying that he can't because he hasn't got, or he can't give birth because he hasn't got a womb. And it was
Okay.
about him having equal rights.
Okay. I'll check it out.
I don't remember that.
Go for a little laugh right about now. See if
Yeah,
it's
I'm
on
searching new flat Earth videos on YouTube, and a few days ago, it's saying that Infowars made a flat Earth report in their favor. Is that?
Did you see it? Yeah, I watched it today.
I'm gonna watch it. I just have it tabbed right now. Is it good?
Yeah, Glowbusters
Legit.
promoted it on their stream today. I watched it. It was pretty decent. I mean, they kind of just scratched the surface. They don't get too deep into it, but it was positive for Flat Earth. So, I mean, I'll take it.
I'll check it out.
So Alex Jones now is talking for Flat Earth. I want to be aboard this. What is this Flat Earth? Is it a conspiracy I can show in my show and get some money out of it? I mean, broadcast truth. Because it's all for truth, right?
I saw this funny video from this ex-military guy. I believe he was in some special operations unit, and he was like a dog handler, and he was kind of showing off his dog to like Fox News or whatever, and he's like talking about the dog, and they're wrapping up the segment.
Earlier.
Yeah, and he goes, they're wrapping up the segment, and the guy goes, Epstein didn't kill himself. That's the last thing he said. And I was like, dude, it's at least nice to hear from some military guy that's like, just throwing it in the media's face that he doesn't think that happened.
Yeah, nice. Well, what is it? So he killed himself in prison or something, didn't he? Apparently.
Yeah.
Right.
But
yeah,
he
it just doesn't make any sense.
No, but he could still be alive equally. That
Yeah.
doesn't.
He done a backflip off a bed in prison. If anyone's ever spent any time in prison, you can understand how low down the beds are, and to do a backflip off that and break your neck.
I thought that was a joke. They said he did a backflip. Like what the? Wait, they said he fell off his bed. That's what they.
Yeah, but it's like, have you not
And
heard?
broke
Have
his
you not?
neck.
Have you not heard of the suicides where they
I thought they said he hung
Poor,
himself.
Poor Jeffrey. Poor Jeffrey. Fell off his bed. That's all I've got. I'm not going to continue.
Has anyone seen any like videos that have like brought any new information?
Not me. I haven't really been looking, actually. I just come across whatever you guys post here, but I've stopped my search. I feel like I've learned enough about the topic, and I have a pretty good understanding, so I don't really need to keep diving down the rabbit hole anymore.
But I feel like, I know. I feel like I agree with it's like kind of a waste of time now to like search every single day because I'm not going to get anything new. But like sometimes you just get like that one little thing that maybe makes it work.
Yeah, and the way I see it is like if something huge or monumental comes where someone finds the curve, I'm pretty sure someone in this group is going to have heard about it. So I don't really have to go searching anymore.
That's not going to happen.
Apparently, he had information on like Bill Clinton and that, didn't he? About that's probably why he's dead. Because apparently Bill Clinton's like into all that pedo shit and that, and Hillary.
Hillary, you mean?
Who?
Hillary.
Oh, Hillary.
I've never met any of them.
No, neither. But that Epstein, he was friends with Prince Andrew or something. You know, in the royal family, British royal family.
Never met that one either.
It's weird, you know. He's into all this, right? And then he's, friends with all these other, quite rich, powerful people. And like they've allegedly stayed. Didn't he have his own like island or something? They've all like stayed on this island.
Yes,
Like,
he now owns 2 islands.
yeah, so
And
it's
they've
like
all
all
been
these
on them
rich,
Elite
powerful people
Express
have
as well.
stayed on his island where he's
Yeah.
allegedly done all this stuff, right? And he's now dead. So
Apparently.
Allegedly.
he can't
Who owns
say
his island
anything.
now?
He can't expose these other rich, powerful people.
Yeah, but I mean, if you were in that kind of position, you always have like a dead switch or something, that if something happens to you. I mean, the stuff he knew, there's no way. That, I don't
Yeah, I would
know.
have the whole fucking island rigged with cameras and shit. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Emma, you're reading too many spy novels here.
No,
Dead switch, as in what? All the information is going to go live, going to go public, going to get expelled
Yeah.
into the ether. But no, well, nothing's come out, and he's dead. So
Exactly.
Okay.
If you're into all that blackmail thing, but I think he was part of the CIA anyway, and he was.
Nah,
He was just he was just a puppet, and he collected information. But
no,
he was
he was a puppet. Of course, he was a puppet, but he was a puppet that was just an absolute fucking
but he
fiend.
was
He was
also
a sexual deviant, fucking
yeah
paedophile rat bastard. But he was
trafficker.
used to no, but in the big scheme of things, that's someone who can be used and who can be utilized and is quite valuable to the elites that want to fraternize and deal
Oh
in
yeah, he made
blood and
his
young
niche
people
in
and
that.
all that. So like you've got to just accept that that's a reality of the world that we live in, and the charade that he has died in jail is just what it is. It's just a charade, and the fact that people accept it and just move on with their life is just another example of why we're all just whitewashed and fucking. There's just the high percentage of people are just so asleep and will not wake up. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't how much is put in front of them. The Twin Towers show that. As soon when that happened, that the world didn't wake up just showed it's not going to happen. It's not. It's bullshit. It's just fucking. It's like it doesn't matter what we do. We can all wake as many people up as we can, but fucking the majority are just going to be whitewashed with. Oh, there's a siren that says, "You are a vegetable and you will do this."
Yeah, but you're forgetting like there's constantly new stories and new narratives being fed into the news media. So like people have something new to talk about at work on Monday. It's a regular occurrence. If not weekly, then bi-weekly. There's a new, you know, tragedy or scandal or something new to talk about over like the water cooler and your coffee. So people are just like focused on their jobs, paying their bills, celebrating birthdays, and like watching football. Like there's so many distractions here. People have no clue how much they're being like distracted to death. So yeah, I don't think people are gonna wake up because they don't even look at these topics. Why would they?
I'm not watching that
What
at
are we
all.
distracted from?
I'm not even glancing at the head. I have no idea what is being talked to at the media
Yeah, me
for
either.
a long time now. I just have completely removed my attention from it.
Mm-hmm.
So what are
It's
we
way better for
distracted
your
from?
sanity because like you're
What are
not
we supposed
constantly
to be doing?
pounded with negative stories all day. Get to find your humanity again somehow.
How'd you go about doing that?
Stop watching the news, I think.
I've not watched news in years.
Well, then have you started partaking in your hobbies? Like what makes you happy?
Have I started what?
Partaking in your hobbies.
Partaking in my hobbies, yes. I play FIFA a lot, yes.
Okay, well there's that. I think social hobbies are advisable. Obviously, any human interaction you can get in is always beneficial.
I drink. I
Well,
play
there's
pool
that.
a lot. I
Oh
play
yeah, pool.
snooker a lot.
That's cool.
I'm pretty awful at darts, but I give that a try every now and then.
You dabble. Yeah, it's all that
Well,
matters.
not dabble. I don't know. I don't know if I could hit D. The board seems to be hard for me.
Oh yeah.
But apart from that,
Yeah, I spent like a year or so just kind of like traveling this, random off the beaten path places just to kind of see like what the folks are like over there and like had some of the best conversations just going to random places I would never have walked into. Just because I'm like, well, fuck it, I'm walking in, see how they treat me, and like everyone's been amazing. So like I've gone to like Asian places and these little Indian bars and like tons of little Latin spots and like really really like hood spots. Like I just go everywhere. It's fun.
What is an Indian bar?
Where you find like a lot of Indian people, like Desi music. So there's like a little Indian lounge type of thing that I go to from time to time. But they'll play like classic Indian music and like like Indian girls will go there and like so it's cool.
Classic Indian music? You mean folk music or something else?
Well, I don't even know how you would describe it, but it's like I guess whatever, like how they like twist their wrists in the air like they're screwing in a light bulb. I don't know what the genre is called, but
Indian, I think Bollywood.
Bollywood, yeah, I guess Bollywood music.
Bollywood.
Yeah, something like that. I just like dabbling in the different cultures. It's interesting to me.
I was in Tunisia when I was young. That was really interesting to me. I loved Tunisia. It was really eye opening. It was you were in Tunis and you would walk along the street and there'd be like like cow heads rotting on the side of the road.
Nice.
Then you'd go into Port El Cantoué and it was like electric buggies taking you everywhere. It was like electric golf carts, and the streets were literally paved with gold. And you'd go into all these beautiful hotels, and it was it was mental. But you'd like our hotel would like our hotel was in Tunis, but I'd made friends with people. Well, I was like 6 or 7 year old, and I'd started talking to these old couple who obviously didn't have any grandkids and taking a liking to me. So they were telling us, "Oh yeah, this is our hotel," giving my mum and dad their address, and I'm like, "Yeah, come and see us." We were in Tunis; it was shite, and they were in Port El Cantoué. So as soon as they realised, they were like, "Yeah, we're going to visit the old fuckers." It was brilliant. It was great. The hotel was much better than ours.
Nice. Yeah, everything's just about the experience of it, all right.
It was lovely. I forgot where I was going with the point there.
I thought you were just talking about like just an experience you had.
It was good. Yeah, I liked it. It was nice. Me and my sister were putting plastic chairs on the what do you call it, the bouncy thing that you go into the pool with, and flinging each other onto it. It was funny as shit.
Nice. Yeah, I find myself spending the most time in some of these Greek cafes. Yeah, they're probably some of my favorite. I think the Greek culture is one of my favorites in terms of like, family values, how the guys communicate, the temperament of the women. Like it's just very like homey. It feels that way, relative.
Have you been to Italy?
Say it again.
Have you been to Italy?
No. Well, I said Greece, Greeks, but I haven't been to Italy yet. No, but I have Italian friends. But no,
don't get me wrong. The Greeks are a homey people. They're a beautiful homey, delicious, rambunctious people. I love the Greeks.
A lot of gladiators and fighters. Everybody's like, either Superman or like, obviously homebound women. Like they're so old school. It's like crazy to watch.
All this on a flat Earth.
I know. I forgot where we were.
You forgot?
Slipped my mind for a second.
What do you mean you forgot?
Darn mental programming. I keep picturing the ball. I wake up like sometimes with cold sweats in the middle of the night. I'm like, ball.
Really?
Yeah. No, I'm joking. Fuck no.
Thank fuck for that. That's crazy talk.
Yeah, but if I were to have nightmares, it'd probably be ballers.
If I have nightmares, it's probably a fucking Jedi. Well, no, I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, it's such a good conversation the other day. I was hanging out with one of my friends at in his stories. He's Haitian as well, and like he knows the Earth is flat. He's definitely in the conspiracy theories, but like he doesn't chat about this stuff as often. So I just went to his house to hang out, and like we talked for like 6 hours on like all of this stuff.
Get him on here, man. What are you doing?
Oh no, yeah, I gave him the link. I told him, I was like, yo, come by the server, and like he's literally hilarious. So
Hook him up.
you guys are gonna be slapping your knee laughing. He's funny.
Yeah, man. We need more New Yorkers on here, you know.
He's a funny dude. Like, you'll definitely have a good time laughing with him. But yeah, I've been like, spreading the link out to the people that I know are interested in learning more, or, they're already into the topic and shit like that. See kind of what they think. Bring them to the server, have a chat.
Right, here, let me tell you. I was a wee bit stressed out today, so I'm from the train, went up to Glasgow, came out Glasgow Central, seen a wee sign, said massage parlour. Like, you know what? That'll do.
Little rub and tug.
So I just went in, massage parlour went in. Right, okay, and she lubed me up. It was beautiful. She done me with baby oil. It was brilliant. Massaged the shit out of me. And then at the end, she leaned over and she sort of breathed into my left ear from over my right shoulder.
Okay.
And she said, "You want super sex?" And I was like, "Oh, whoa, sweet child of mine."
Where are we going with this, Jay Bud?
Let me think about this.
So you're
and
like,
yeah. And I said, "Look, darling, if it's all the same with you, I'll have the soup."
Well done. So you felt super relaxed then, obviously.
Was that supposed to be a joke? Because I really didn't get
super sex.
I didn't get
the joke. You want super sex?
Okay.
Soup or sex? Are you fucking kidding me? On you guys have got no sense of humor.
It must be the accent.
This is bullshit. This is like grade 1, number 1 humor, and you guys aren't getting it.
Like I said, it's the accent.
Super sex.
Super sex.
Soup or sex? Okay, I'll have the soup. I'll have the soup. Not the sex. Soup or sex. She's saying super sex, and he's saying soup or sex, and taking the soup. You fucking dirty animal.
But let me tell you what I was picturing. I was picturing you sitting down with some like massage girl over your shoulder, whispering in your ear, asking if you want super super sex, and you're like, yeah. So I figured you got like rubbed down and like rubbed out, and you like passed out or something. I don't like. I was like, where are we going with this? I was like, I don't know.
I was
exactly. That's the joke. That's the joke. Super sex. It's supposed to be, super sex, but
that's what I was picturing.
It's broken down into soup or sex. So you turn around and say, "No, darling, I'll just have the soup." It's
just give up, Jay-Bud.
Dry humor. I know. I'm digging down in it. I'm not even digging up. I'm not even right.
That was a good one.
It's dead. Why do you keep kicking it? It's dead already.
Just the way my mind is structured around sex.
No, it was fine.
Would someone please think of the children? Would someone please think of the children?
What about them?
There we go. See, the thought of them has brought us all back down to earth. Let's think about where we are and what the shape is.
Moment of silence for the globe.
Where? What side of the globe are we on?
No, I said a moment of silence for the globe.
No, fuck the globe. No silence for the globe.
No silence.
Fuck the globe. 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 Fuck the globe.
It was a major part of my childhood. Like, there's definitely an emotional tear there still.
There's no globe in Scotland. No globe in Scotland.
Someone once said that you don't need to hate it. You can see the spherical shell.
I hate it.
And
Imprisoned
the
me and made
pieces
me
of
think
it
that I could fly outside of this world.
as they lie smashed before your feet, destroyed and exposed for the lie that they have been. You can look at them like fragments of a shell
Or
that you
liars.
right? And you're out of it now. Now you're outside of it. You don't. I mean, does the chick hate the eggshell that was keeping it in?
Yep.
Don't know.
I don't know either.
I'd assume so.
Must have gotten comfortable in there, though.
I do. I'm sorry. I know people in here like to be all nicey, but no, I am violently angry at what is being done to us. We are being.
Oh, I'm mad too. Don't think I'm not mad.
Well, you need to be careful when you're angry, because
to use
because
violent
when you're
language and so
angry,
on and so forth is out of order is ridiculous, because we're in a war for our lives, our souls, our sanity, our mind, our actual fucking knowledge of reality. I mean, fuck, what's bigger than that?
we're careful
And
not to
cunts are
allow
worried
anger
about
to
what we're
get the best
talking
of
about,
you.
how
Then.
we're going about it. Fucking
Yeah,
fight.
Because then you will allow anger to run the show, right?
No, I would not allow anger to run the show. No, I would not.
I would hope so. Being angry can be dangerous, both to
It can
yourself
also
and
be
others.
powerful. Channeled in the right way, it's very powerful. Control it. Controlled anger. Very powerful.
That's a good way to put it.
Like controlled fire.
The smoking ember. The smoking ember, not the fire. Not the fire. The smoking ember. Keep it going. And keep control of the ember. Keep control of the ember until time. Until that time where you can just set ablaze and just fucking ruin everything and just say, well, fuck yous all then.
Tell me now, J Bud. I know now.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's like end of the day, it's like everyone keeps saying it. Well, it's us and them. It's on us and them. It's on us and them, and it's either going to be one or the other. It's going to be, and man, it's a war. Got to step up at some point. Got to step up at some point.
Yeah, but Jay, think about the organization. To have how many countries are in the world? 220 something countries in the world, and all of them think that it's a globe. No individual science department or teacher or anybody
Yeah. But hold on. How many of those countries have came into existence in the last 250 years?
Not sure.
Probably most of them. Probably more than 80% of them.
So hold on. So when I take most things back to it is around the 14th century, when around the printing press came around, when mass communication, that's when that's a singular point where I say, right, that's where shit started to go wrong. Not that mass communication is a bad thing, but mass communication was hijacked straight away as soon as it was developed. It was like, right, well, here we go. Evil cunts saw this and saw, as soon as we can do this, we can hijack everyone, and this is it. And that's where it all went fucking Pete Tong.
I agree.
Evening, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Good. What's up, bro?
Good, buddy. Yourself?
Evening, Crypto.
How is everybody?
Yeah,
fantastic.
very well. How are you?
Awesome.
Yeah, good, thanks. I spent the weekend in Northern Ireland.
I thought that's where you were. I thought you'd been a bit quiet.
Yeah.
Did you have a good time, my friend?
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, really good.
Nice.
Yeah, we had So there wasn't like a best man for the wedding because he's got quite a few different, like he's quite a popular guy. So there was like 4 groomsmen, and we surprised him with like a 650 quid bike at his reception, and he was nearly in tears.
Oh wow! Oh, that's so sweet.
That was cool, and there's beautiful wedding and stuff. So yeah, it's really nice.
Oh, excellent! I'm glad you did.
And I mean, those two have been together for like 10 years, and it's just really like a dream wedding kind of thing. It was really cool.
That's great.
What was the first wedding dance?
It was Tenerife Sea by Ed Sheeran.
Oh, nice.
It's actually a nice song. I don't like Ed Sheeran very much, but that's a good song.
I'm a reluctant fan. He's good.
He's twisted your arm, has he?
I hate it because everyone likes him, but he is good. I'm a reluctant fan of.
Yeah.
I found myself playing "The Cross Me" by Ed Sheeran a lot lately. I don't know why. I like that song.
Yeah, I like it as well, actually.
Did I hear Crypto? Crypto, is that you?
I was going through a phase of listening to him about 8 months ago.
Hi, Crypto.
I was listening to Ed Sheeran, so I can't badmouth the guy. I'm sorry.
Are you really not driving?
I'm not driving, no.
Long time no see. I hope you're doing well.
Thanks, man. You too.
Did you check out any of those subsidies from BP and Shell?
I knew that was coming. No, of course not. I've been in Northern Ireland for 2 days. Do you think I've had anything to do other than drink?
I'm taking that as a no. Then you haven't.
No.
Again, you haven't.
Would it just be easier to say yeah? So, how's the flat smacking been going?
We killed them all. We're just hanging around now, kind of tidying up, sweeping, putting chairs away. But yeah, they're all gone now, mate.
Oh.
Same as usual, buddy. Same as usual. It's been a bit quiet over the last couple of days, but all in all, it's the same as usual.
Is it like a game of Zombinator when you've actually infected everyone?
Pretty much.
With Flat Earth.
Yeah. We're just hanging around waiting for someone to come in and say something really stupid.
You know what I was listening to the other day? You guys ever heard of somebody named Jonathan Adam Pants?
Negative.
No?
No.
My mom sent it to me, and first I was interested, and then he was saying that Earth is, he's talking about space, and I was like, oh, this guy's not as smart as I thought he was. Yeah, it was just an interesting listen though. But he's talking about tons of esoteric shit. It makes you scratch your head a little bit.
Jonathan Atom Pants.
Adam Pants, just like the name Adam, Adam.
Oh.
Pants. Interesting stuff. Definitely some insightful stuff in there, but most of the stuff, I couldn't tell if he's spreading propaganda and shit and just wasting people's time. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it's funny. Just earlier there, I was watching. It's amazing how insidious the propaganda is. Because I was just watching a program on the Navy, just on the Navy, the British Navy, and they were saying about how the Navy goes over to I don't know, St. Vincent, and then on the way they'll go past the US, and then they might go south, and then Hurricane Michael's hitting. Okay, cool. So what's the first thing they show of Hurricane Michael? Oh, it's a big globe with Hurricane Michael. And what's funny about Hurricane Michael is that they show you on the radar that Hurricane Michael was 100 miles wide or something, but on the big ass globe it takes up a quarter of the picture. So it's how is 100 miles now a quarter of the globe?
Yeah. You don't understand exposure.
or scale, apparently.
Yo, one more fucking globe it doesn't. I don't understand something like this now.
Well, just get Zanuck in here to tell you how much you don't understand. I do actually like Zanuck. I think his he could be a useful weapon if only he was a flat earther.
So that's what we were talking about earlier. I was like, if Zanuck is like a once guy, he genuinely is just confusing, misled, and he's just been trying to, shore up his reality, I'm cool with Zanuck. But if he's a fucking shill and he knows this whole time and he's just here fucking wasting everybody's time, I'm gonna rip this guy a good new one. So like, once I get like him to slip up and say something he's not supposed to say, and like it becomes self-evident what he's doing here, I'm gonna let it rip. Because I'm like, he's been playing this.
Zanuck confuses me. Zanuck confuses me. Because as Crypto said, sometimes I've heard him agree with a lot of logical things that he doesn't fall for everything. Do you know what I mean? He seems to be alright in some places. So for him to, like, dare I say it, the word that shall not be spoken that begins with R is invaders at the time, or refraction, right? So that word. When these conversations come around, I don't understand how he can't highlight the path. Just bouncing the ball and putting his hands up in the air and saying this really isn't good shit.
He sounds kind-hearted, though. He does sound like he's got a kind heart, but the way he started was purely antagonizing and going with a method to try and put the one he was speaking with to shame. And he used the interrupting a lot, but compared to others, he seems to have been changing that. To me, at least.
Yeah, and it's like, like that's the thing. It's like I can understand the frustrations. So like, if you're really just shoring up your position because you genuinely believe you're right, and that's causing your frustrations in your speech, then it's like you can't be mad at that person. But if you know better and you're doing it on purpose, then it's like that's just infuriating because now you're just wasting everybody's time here on purpose. You know what I mean? We could be talking to somebody else about like a serious question they might have as opposed to entertaining you.
Yeah, it's called being humbled. And I think that's true for lots of these people because it's inevitable that they will see right through the inconsistencies of a space monkey ball religion, just like we did.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like so many others have. They're just not being vocal about it.
Yeah.
But these people, not only they have to be vocal about it, they have to actually, go in public fora and profess that it's a lie and that we are stupid and we don't know what we're talking about. We don't understand exposure.
Yeah.
Right? So this cannot be done forever.
Yeah,
it will lead them up from the inside, right? They will lose it. They will not be able to function.
That's the thing. That's what I fear the most. If he's a real, honest, genuine person and he figures it out, he's going to lose it because he's so adamant that he's right. The deconstruction for someone like that, I think that would be painful. Me, I was just on the fence. I didn't really care either way. I just did the math. I was like, oh, shit's flat. So it's like no emotional baggage came along with my discovery of it. I was like, oh, this shit sucks. They lied to me, but I didn't cry myself to sleep, But I think someone like a Zanuck, if he were able to come over, he's gonna be pissed.
Yeah, but you don't know what's going on in the background. Like if I was the powers that should not be, I would probably make sure that I have a safety net of sorts for this kind of situation.
Sure.
And back in the old day, does any of you know where the term assassin comes from?
Mm-mm.
So it comes from hashish. And it used to be that someone in the Far East, they wanted to recruit. And they wanted to recruit from the youth. So what they did was they would gather them up, like the most select ones. They would probably have some grooming program.
Mm-hmm.
And once they deduced that they were ready, they would say, okay, now this is going to be a special evening. And you're not to talk about it to anybody else. And we're going to show you what you will be fighting for, okay? So all very, formal and smoky and mirrory and such. So they would go and they would start smoking, and they would be exposed to psychoactive or hallucinogenic vapors or whatever. And then when they were very, very high, then, the other world would show up. And it would be filled with gorgeous women and lovely food that tasted great and all of that. And then when the effects wore off, they would fall asleep and they would wake up where they started. But then the ones orchestrating this would, walk to them and say, "Did you see? Do you see the new other world that I showed you?" And in this way, they could, what's the word? Certify the allegiance and the faith of this, elite guard to be. And these people would fight to the death always, because in their mind they knew what they were fighting for, because they've been there, they've seen it. And where am I going with this? Why am I saying this? Because
we're talking about the definition of assassin.
You don't know what Zanuck and the Zanucks of the world, you don't know what they have been promised, right? You don't know what their motives are.
Sure.
So maybe they were privy to a crazy story or even a crazy experience. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe when one of them goes off the reservation too much, then, he gets scooped up by this safety net. Says, "Okay, we're going to take you for a ride, show you what you're fighting for."
Sure.
So, I don't know.
No, you're right. You forget, like, people can literally be spun a number of complex stories, and they could be living in a completely different reality than anybody else around them. And they think they're G.I. Joe, but they literally have no clue that they've just been lied to by someone that they potentially respected.
Like this the first alleged man to the moon, Neil Armstrong, right? When when he was confronted by this guy making that we didn't go to the moon. What was the name? A funny thing happened on the way to the moon was the title of the documentary, where this guy, Bart Sibrel, I think his name is, he also has a YouTube channel. So he's still active on that regard. So he was picking one by one those so-called spacemen, and he was confronting them with, you know what? I think you're full of crap, and you didn't go there. And do you mind swearing on the Holy Bible or whatever that you actually went there?
Mm-hmm.
And when he walks up to Neil Armstrong, who is supposedly the American hero that made this first achievement, this one small step for man, right? Then Neil Armstrong loses his shit. And one of the things that he says to this Bart Sibrel, that says, I don't believe you went there. I think you're a liar.
Oh, they guys posted
it. I can't remember. Okay, good. Try someone posted it on chat, because I couldn't remember the exact phrasing, but he says something along the lines of, "Mr. Sibrel, you do not deserve this information."
No, what he said was, if I remember rightly, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible, which is a bit ridiculous.
Well, no, that was a different part. He did say both of those things.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, sorry.
He did say later, you don't deserve the truth. You don't deserve
you don't
answers.
deserve the truth. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but look it up for yourselves.
Yeah, no,
but the thing you said, Ref, the thing you said is very weird as well. It's like knowing you, that's a fake Bible. Well, even if it's a fake Bible, what's the problem with swearing on it?
And
nothing's going to happen if it's fake.
Yeah, it shows a man that has lost his grip and composure and his cadence, and is just babbling. At that point, he's so triggered, Neil Armstrong, that he's not pausing for a moment to think about the words that are going to come out of his mouth next. Right?
With Neil Armstrong.
That's why he's saying that.
He
That's
gave like no public interviews at all. He pretty much just disappeared. He didn't give any public interviews. Buzz Aldrin, he had an alcohol problem, obviously, because, you know, dealing with hiding all this big truth and that.
Sure.
And he does talk now, because obviously, you know, he's got to make a living.
But what sort of a high horse does someone have to be to essentially listen to themselves say to someone asking them about something that they should be proud of, and be able to speak about it all day, every day? What sort of a high horse does one need to be to say, you do not deserve this? You do not deserve me speaking to you. Why is that?
What a horrible person. It's just disgusting
in
thing to say.
Video you're talking about with that Bart Sorrell, when he's wanting to show Buzz Aldrin the video where they're apparently faking the footage when they're on the way to the moon, right? This unseen footage or whatever. Buzz Aldrin gets a bit like nervous. He's like, "Oh, what? And you want me to see this footage live on camera, live on your camera?" Do you know what I mean? Like, because obviously he knows that if he's being filmed and he's being shown obvious like fakery, like how on camera, how is he meant to?
Yeah, and how good is your poker face? Can you hold in your emotion?
Yeah. And none of them swear on the Bible. There's one of them who did swear on the Bible, but you can tell he's just like, it's ungenuine. I don't know which one that is, but in the video. And they all get mad. Like, they all start walking off.
Yeah. Because the camera.
Loads of them.
Yeah. I think he asked about 8 or 9, or I don't know.
One punches him, another one kicks him.
One of them puts their dirty nose against the lens.
I mean, if you're looking for a proof that somehow you want some silver bullet or whatever, and you want to convince yourself, I mean, look at how these men react. Would an astronaut ever react like this? I mean, why would he care? He went to the freaking moon and he played golf on it.
Exactly.
So you went back shit on him, right? You can't piss a man like that off.
Well, put it in the context of, like, let's say or an American football player or something, and you're going up to him going, "Oh, I don't believe that you make £200,000 a week," right? Would the footballer be like, "Oh, well, actually, I do, and I'm going to kick your ass if you don't believe it," or would he just laugh at you?
Yeah, I mean, be like, "All right, mate."
He'd just be like, "Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm broke. Whatever. Bye." He wouldn't take it seriously, but these guys all take it seriously. It's really interesting.
That goes to show, like, the insults that hurt people's feelings are the ones that resonate within that person themselves. So, like, if you say something and they get upset, you're like, well, if that didn't exist in you as something to be bothered about, you wouldn't have got upset. So you outed yourself by your reaction.
Who said a minute ago about one of them kicking him, getting angry? Because this Bart Cyril guy, he went into, like, one of their houses to, like, do the interview, and he, like, obviously got kicked out yet. And you hear his son, like the astronaut's son, go, "Shall we get the CIA to wax him?" Like, kill him as he's going out.
And another detail is that the one who actually said, "Okay, no problem, you bring that Bible here and I will swear on it."
Yeah, it's just
that one
ungenuine, isn't it?
He backpedaled, though, when Bart Sibrel rephrased the oath as...
Yeah, he wouldn't, he phrased it himself when he swore, didn't he?
He included the word treason.
Yeah, right? And he wouldn't swear on treason.
Exactly, under the penalty of treason. He wouldn't do that. So that's yet another indicator that they operate at a different level from what you and I and the common man is used to in our everyday interactions.
Sure.
See that picture Thrice has posted where he's like heroes? Look at them. They're all straight faced. So that's their interview right after coming back from the moon, right? Like a footballer, they score a goal, they celebrate, they're going mental, right? Like someone's surfing some big wave, like they're excited, they're visually like happy, Like, look at them three. They're just, it's like they are, you know what I mean? They're just like straight faced. They're just like, they know they're summing up. Like they know that they're lying. I don't know. I sound a bit stupid explaining it, but do you know what I mean? Like, they just look like it's a script. Like, they've just done the most accomplishable thing in human history, allegedly. And look at them.
Look at them, stoics.
Yeah.
Not even nervous stoics. Like, their minds are running 1,000 miles an hour. They can't keep it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're talking about something you enjoy, you're loose, you're cool, your fucking shoulders are dropped. You're like ready to field some questions, see what people are gonna ask you. Like, you're excited for the interaction. But that's not exciting.
You would have thought they'd be smiling and cheering and looking fucking interested.
That's the look of dread.
And they look like they're sweating.
Word. Like, like what happened? They didn't have any drugs back then to give them? Like, give them some drugs. Let them at least chill out. I'm sure they had weed back then. Give them something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this punch he goes. That video for us is just linked. That's that Bart Cyril guy again, isn't it? And he gets punched in the face by... Because he walks up to him and goes, "You're a liar, a traitor," or whatever, doesn't he?
I don't think I've seen that one before.
I found one video where it's like a compilation of all of the astronauts he's gone and asked, and that was good because obviously you see them all there one after each other, and it's like, wow, none of them do it. But yeah, that one is just like Buzz Aldrin just visually gets so angry.
The ball Earth sat on a wall. The ball Earth had a great fall. 70 men and 70 more could not make the ball Earth as before. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
That guy just got clocked. He didn't think Grandpa was gonna hit him.
Where are the Globe Defenders? What's up with them today? Or tonight, depending where you are.
Sunday. They don't work Sundays.
Oh, Sunday's word. Family time today.
Day off.
Yeah.
I'm trying to watch some of the other side stuff, see what they're saying about the flat Earth, open up dialogue.
You're breaking up, Lemon. Last word I heard was dialogue.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to some of their stuff to see what they're saying on the other side to open up more of a dialogue.
They only do debunks, don't they?
So now they are at the negotiation stage.
Seeing how to massage it into their model, let the cat out of the bag slowly. Like they say, if you can't beat them, join them.
No chance.
That's one thing I haven't thought about it.
The Earth is not a spinning ball. Don't be the last to know.
Well, when you think about it, there's some serious logical issues. Like even with the Michelson-Morley experiment, which basically disproved the Earth was moving, because they didn't have enough ether speeds to be consistent with a moving ball Earth. They just basically begged the question and said that, the Earth is moving, but it's contracting the instruments so much you can't tell what's going on in the Michelson-Morley experiment. It's begging the question. Then on top of that, we have gravity disproved by helium And then they beg the question again, saying, oh, gravity's pulling down everything else under the helium and propping it up indirectly that way, making it rise through the density column. That's begging the question, too. Then they say that level and flat are not the same thing, and that, normally you'd say level and flat are the same thing, but gravity pulls stuff to the center so much that something that is not level, something that is not flat, can somehow be a level due to gravity.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to swallow once you see it.
It's bad. And, whole, segments of science are based off of this.
True. You know what I've envisioned in this? Because, I'm trying to correlate, the whole, legalization of weed thing and all that stuff. I think it's going to be a period, because, weed just kind of makes you more susceptible to look at some of these, conspiracy theories, I believe. But I think what is going to happen is, people are actually going to start becoming way more paranoid. They're going to be looking into this thing, and there's going to be, a major, divide in society between people that know it's flat and the people that just are too terrified to look. Because I think as more people start to smoke and it becomes more widespread, especially here in the States, it's going to be a bigger topic that people talk about while they have a smoke. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm. Token it up to the shape of the earth, but people are waking up bit by bit. They just wonder, I think, at this stage, okay, how's this going to affect me? If I wake up, can I still keep my circle of friends? Can I still keep my job? Is it going to upset my apple cart?
Sure.
I think that's the ultimate turning point, to wake up versus, say, going back to sleep.
Sure. But that's the thing. It's you can still keep your apple cart and wake up. You know what I mean? I don't know why people think it has to be one or the other. If your coworkers are not receptive, you don't have to talk to your coworkers about it, but you can still be very awake and aware of what's going on around you. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. You can do both.
Come out, globe heads, and play. Do not be afraid of the flat side.
Luke Skywalker, DeGrasse Tyson looks at you and says, "It's not possible!"
Then can you show me curved water, Luke?
The Skywalker is a reference to the sun. It is that which walks the sky.
I heard that there is a bit of kind of mysticism in the Star Wars trilogy. The Force being kind of like witchcraft, magic, the force of the will. It's very interesting. Even Jedi, kind of like an oblique reference to Jewish people, Jehudi, Jehudai, Jedi.
There's also a little bit further back in Star Wars. There's a Trinity. There's a Father, there's a Son, and there's a daughter. Father is the embodiment of the entire Force, and the Son and the daughter are the opposite, opposing ends, the dark and the light. The light being the daughter and the dark being the Son. So, yeah, there's a bit of a Trinity in
there. Stop whining and start accepting reality.
Even if you look at Yoda, if you look at his face upside down, it kind of looks like a Baphomet symbol inside of like a 5-pointed star. If you kind of look at his drawing a little bit differently.
Hey, what are we looking at?
Yoda, take his face, turn it upside down. It kind of looks like the Baphomet in the pentagram, 5-pointed star, something like that.
Yeah, this guy George Lucas definitely knows way more than we give him credit for. Like he's way too tuned into stuff regarding space.
Yeah, I wish he also knew how to make a decent movie. But
yeah.
all I can think about when you say Baphomet is, I don't want to be no crap kid. The Earth is flat, Globers. Get over it.
and motionless.
And motionless. Get over it. Okay, on to more important and better details. How do we find these dimensions?
Dimensions?
These demented what?
Oh, I don't know. I was hoping you guys had a clue.
Dimensions?
I didn't hear the sentence. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, sorry. I said, how do we find these dimensions?
What dimensions?
Well, I don't know. That's what I was hoping you guys would figure out.
But the
So,
dimensions of what? The Earth?
figure out what dimensions we're looking for, and then figure out how to find them. I don't understand the question.
Well, in the term that I'm thinking of what Nikola Tesla said. Maybe I'm using the wrong word. Maybe I should have used realm.
Oh, you mean like different dimensions within Earth? So like the fifth dimension, sixth dimension type of thing?
Or even layers. I mean, like, I could see
The
it
way
being a
that
layer.
well, we have radio can be tuned to different frequencies. That might be one way to do it, to tune ourselves to another frequency of being. Maybe then we can see the stuff that's there that we don't normally interact with, or interact with the stuff that's there that we normally just pass right by, through, around, or whatever.
Yeah, I guess we do oscillate at a certain vibration. If we dropped it or heightened it a little bit, I wonder what would happen. I mean, I don't want to overstep God or anything, right? Because there's a certain boundary we're not supposed to cross. But
Well, just pray about it. See what God would have you do.
I mean, would that be the type of magic that he's like trying to not get us to go near? Because like I've been trying to figure out what that is.
Magic implies trying to do your will, whether or not God sanctions it. Through demonology, spells, incantations, But if you want to do his will, then we'd have to ask him.
Fuck, I don't know, man. That's
Most likely, there would be a prohibition against it because there are angels and demons that might tear us apart if we're not in our proper place, sanctioned by the Lord.
yeah, that's what I kind of figured now. I mean, I've heard people say that God means generator, operator, destroyer, but I mean, if you really look around at this whole like flat Earth thing, to me, it's more like the gathering of the divided.
The truth can unite many. The lie always splits.
But if people just knew the difference.
But the truth can separate the truth from the lie.
It should, but then in here I've learned differently. I've learned you can actually hit people with the truth, and they still might not be able to differentiate. Their programming is too deeply ingrained.
That's strong.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, nothing. Not that there's anything you can really do because once a certain mind is set, you can't really change it. But I mean, it's kind of sad to think that there's going to be people still left here that actually die on a giant spinning water ball.
It's fine. I mean, you just give them as much truth as you can. As much truth as they can stand.
Or if you can see that there is, some crap in their path, you can exclaim, "Hey, you! Careful! There is some bullshit over there, and you may step on it." You know, it's not like you're, infringing in their privacy or anything.
Like think about going to Mars just to get a Mars bar.
Or think about going to Mars just to raise the Mars bar. Ba-dum.
Or step up from that, go to the Milky Way to get a Milky Way.
Telling you, man, they're even programming our kids with the fucking candy bars, man.
Moon pies?
Yeah, you can't run away from this shit.
And also get them addicted to sugar.
Oh yeah,
Two birds with one stone.
Fucking right.
Oh yeah, I had a huge sugar addiction. We were like my parents were school bus drivers. Well, my parents not, but yeah, we used to just be left home at like crazy young ages, like 5, 6, and like I used to take like white sugar and like Wonder Bread and make sandwiches out of sugar. I was like, you don't leave your kid at home at 6, like with cupboards full of sugar and white bread. It has no sense. So yeah, my sugar addiction was deep.
Bro, I learned my lesson with peanut butter and kids. Never do it again. Never, ever do it.
Noted.
Oh yeah, man. Fuck. Don't let young kids have peanut butter for God's sake. It was everywhere, bro. In the VCR, on the VCR, around the VCR, on the TV. Fucking everywhere, guys.
Hey, let's see how much peanut butter we can fit under mom's pillow.
You know how much peanut butter was on the kid? None. That little guy, man, he's pretty cool though. I mean, it's kind of my fault. I mean, I kind of trained him to be a little destructive shit. That's my present to the elites.
Or a thorn in their sides.
One of the two, man. I'm telling you. If we like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this little girl, man, but her dad like started getting her on the range at like 3 years old. She's like probably 13 now. And you should see this freaking chick use a bow and a freaking gun, man. Like I would not. I feel bad for this. Any high school guy who tries to, you know, you know.
Yeah, they look like, we all look like our mothers and fathers and we all have some things that we're trained on, and perhaps program responses and character and whatever. But I think that each one has also their own thing. So a child is more than the combined genes and the teachings of its father and mother. It's literally a new one on this plane. An unpredictable, brand new free will, right? And a unique perception.
All I know is that little girl, when she grows up, she is going to be set. She's going to know what to do. And that's, I think, should be a priority for our kids right now. We should be starting right frickin' now to train them what weapons are, why they're not tools, or sorry, why they're not toys, why they're tools, why they're there to protect yourself only. You know, it's a must, I think, because the way that the world's going right now, if we don't, there isn't gonna be a world. Because the thing on here all the time, man. Like, how you go on the street right now, and take out pick out 10 people. Do you think any of those 10 people are gonna be able to go out and actually like hunt, kill, actually survive and eat and grow, and you know what I mean? Like, none of them. Maybe one.
I will probably sound like a manic street preacher, but if you tolerate this, then your children will be next.
Very good. Does anyone else know the song?
Very good.
I hope so.
Apparently, I'm the only person who knows the reference.
I think you are.
Does anyone remember a band from the 90s and noughties called Manic Street Preachers?
Yeah, man. I used to have a couple of our own.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, they did a song called, I think it was actually called If You Tolerate This, Then the Children Will Be Next. They used to like long ass fucking song titles.
Yeah. Very depressed people from Wales.
I think they're just called the Welsh.
Just, yeah. Very
I don't
sad.
know who these I don't know who these guys are or who these guys were, but I really can't see how a 20-year-old can come up with such poetry, but who knows? And their tunes, they were amazingly catchy. I mean, their music is magnificent to my ears, right? So I don't know what sort of talent and where it comes from and all that.
The Cavendish experiment.
We don't get any Welsh flat earthers, do we? I don't think I've ever met one. Maybe it's all the valleys, but I'm not sure.
Nah, man. I've never seen a Welsh flat earther. I've mentioned it a couple of times. It doesn't seem to be a thing. Might be the valleys. Or the hills. Or the valleys. Or the hills.
Or the sheep.
Yeah.
North of 7.
Did you just say Cavendish experiment? Are you trying to taunt some kind of argument?
I knew that would fucking trigger you.
I heard it and started paying attention and started talking about what
you couldn't let it go, could you?
I thought I'd say something.
It's not an experiment. doesn't have an observed phenomenon in nature, doesn't have an independent or a dependent variable.
Turnup's going to get Bart Sibreld soon.
Say again?
I was just saying Turnup's going to get Bart Sibreld in a minute.
Bart Sibreld.
Jedi's phoning the CIA now to get you waxed.
Oh, yeah.
My floor needs to be waxed.
Conspiracy.
There's never been a conspiracy.
Like, they call us whack jobs. Like, listen to what you guys are saying right now. Like, you're the definition of a crackhead.
Well, did you guys hear Bart Sibreld when he was on his show a couple months back, maybe about a year ago? Well, again, NASA's obviously lying, but he's like, I still think the Earth's round.
The thing is, though, it's not beyond possibility that Bart Sibreld could also be controlled opposition.
Of course.
I'm glad somebody said it.
So yeah, that's not to, I'm sure J Bud thinks we're all very paranoid. Not J Bud. Fuck Jazza. That's it. I'm sure Jazza thinks we're all very paranoid for not believing literally everything anyone ever tells us.
Well, just because we are paranoid doesn't mean that there are no liars lying in the world, right?
Well, I don't think I'm paranoid at all. I just think
I thought he was going to quote Nirvana. Sorry, good.
I don't think there's any lies in the world.
Yeah, I mean that would be the alternative, wouldn't it? It's like, okay,
You know what line I'm talking about? Just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean they're after you.
Yeah. Doesn't mean they're not after you.
Not to say they're after you, but the point is that some paranoia is legitimate. Like me right now, I hear sirens. I'm paranoid. Oh yeah, no. Now I know why I'm paranoid. Never mind.
Well, let's look at the definition for paranoia.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Paranoia is an instinct or thought process which is believed to be heavily influenced by anxiety or fear, often and irrationality. Is it delusional or irrational to distrust your government? I don't think so.
I think it is very healthy to distrust or at least be critical of the government.
Yeah, of course.
No.
Not even critical. It's like you're not even
them. Like they build roads for us guys. Without the government, we wouldn't have shit.
Sure.
Well, maybe we'd have everything.
That was pretty good. Who said that?
Yeah,
Turn up, was that you?
Oh, you said we wouldn't have shit. Oh, turn.
Did you did it, Vagabond?
Oh yeah. I said maybe we'd have everything. I know. I thought you said who asked the question.
No, I meant the voice acting. I liked the.
That was Turn Up, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did that. That was pro.
I think Turn Up's right. I mean, without the government, we wouldn't have shit taxes to pay. We wouldn't have shit crumbling roads. We wouldn't have shit laws.
They wouldn't have jammed freeways that they have us build and design purposely so that they jam.
Yes. Psychics, you are correct. Jazzaconda is paranoid. And that's why he accuses us of being paranoid. It's just pure projection.
Off being paranoid.
But like Zanuck, though, to me it sounds like Jazzaconda has serious trouble lying. He really doesn't want to do it. That's what I hear. That's what I gather from what I hear from him when I speak with him. So when I ask him something that he can just even white lie and get away with it, or at least try to get away with it, he would rather stutter and try to change the subject. Like this, there was one more. Who was it? Like this guy with a little bit of a wimpy voice, Mr. Super Guy. He also cannot. He would rather pretend that he didn't hear the question, or just ignore it, and rather than lie.
I don't like.
Hello.
Yeah. That one.
It's not even like, I can't even say that some of these guys are dumb, because they're not fucking dumb.
Yeah, they're not dumb. That's what scares me the most, because I can tell they're somewhat functional in society. Like, these guys aren't retard. Oh, well, we can't say that word.
Bro, these guys are doing math in their head that I couldn't even begin to fucking do, man. Like, they're not dumb. Like, I think they're just.
Did someone say math? Did someone say math?
Yeah, math. Like, they're too hooked into the math. They're too hooked into the, like, I think they're just, maybe they just want their own world. I don't freaking know what it is. They're not dumb, though. Like, that's what makes it hard for most of us when we explain these things. It's like, you know what right and left are. So, like, why are you going straight?
Yeah, but some of them cannot. It looks like they cannot lie. It looks like they will not say, no, I'm going right, and keep on going straight. They will just not answer. Or they will say, oh, you don't understand what straight means. But they will not answer the question. If it means that they will have to directly lie, some of them seems to me that they cannot do it. Or at least they try not to do it. So, which was it? Vagabond, you said that what scares you the most is this, but I think if you are scared, I think they're terrified.
Okay,
They don't want to be here.
Exactly. Because the realization, what I like about what you do is, like, you keep people to a very short string, and you hold them to task on everything that comes out of their mouth. So there's no running, there's no squirming around here, right? Once I see you, like, you've on.
Not on my watch, no.
Huh? Say it again.
Not on my watch.
Yeah, not on your watch. Yeah, and I love it. I'm just like, yes. I was like, because that's exactly what I would do. But, like, sometimes I see that they're struggling to reconcile, and I'm like, just leave them alone, man. Like, at least
they can leave the server then. They can fuck right off. They don't need to be here, do they?
Yeah, I think the nice guy in me initially was like, well, you can't force anybody to see, but it's like, you chose to be here. This was a choice of yours. You didn't have to come.
Or was it?
Yeah, or was it?
And then they will not answer.
Yeah. But I do feel bad for the ones that, like, they get backed into a corner and then they can see that they're clearly going, they're going completely around about in terms of answering questions to avoid the direct, simple answer that's right in front of everybody.
Why would you feel bad? I mean, there are so many ways out for them, or at least at face value, there should be ways out for them. So why would you feel bad?
Oh, it's not that I feel bad for the individual person. I feel bad for, like, what's been done to them. You see what I mean? Like, what position they're in.
But you don't know them. They may be streaming from a Mach 4 stratospheric jet.
You're right,
that you see as the ISS or whatever, and then they could have untold riches and good food and their own private islands for or they could be sorry sods living in their mom's basement. I don't know.
Yeah, either or. You're right. Solid point.
But they must don't they have to assume responsibility for this?
Of course, yeah. Because the thing is, it's like, if this is going to be upheld as, like, an intellectual server where, like, we're really going to keep people to task, then it has to be that way, and as uncomfortable as it may be for people that want to get upset and angry, it's like, you have to be constantly challenged, because if you're going to come in here and profess things, then you basically open the door up to be taught why you're professing is wrong. You know what I mean? Because that's how the challenge goes. You're challenging our beliefs here, but we know that you're not doing some of the like nuanced, detailed math work to figure out why you're wrong.
Well, I'd say I don't like the term intellectual that much, because sometimes an intellectual is just someone that believes that they know the road, but they don't know how to drive a car, or they don't even know.
Sure. Well, yeah, I think just the ability to use logic, to follow a logical path that anybody could follow. Like that's what I notice here. It's like everybody just follows a logical thought pattern. It's like, okay, well, this, then that. No big leaps, no like huge bounds, no like just trusting somebody else. It's like, are you following a logical thought pattern, a simple logical thought pattern? And like, I think if you could do that, you can figure anything out. But most people, they don't want to follow the simplest path.
Or they could just get off their chair and go out, leave the screen behind.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because that's another key point. They just absorb their truth. They adopt as truth whatever they see on a screen. Because the screen is where the ball exists, right? You saw it on the screen, and then you impressed that image on your own mind.
Of course. And now you're spewing it out at everybody else.
And when you say Earth, like when you hear the word Earth, you still get flashes of this blue ball.
There's no way around
on your mind, right?
Of course, me too, yeah. There's no way around it. And I literally do that. Like I get the flash of the globe and then I'm like, no, flat. Or like, stationary, and like it goes out. Like I don't know the diameters and what goes on beyond Antarctica or anything, but it's like at least I know it's flat to as many points that have been measured, and it's stationary. Those are the two things I can drive my stake in the ground on. Everything else, I'm fine with not knowing all the nuances. I just know it's not a globe, so that's enough for me.
Is it still Sunday? No globe heads on panel. I saw one that I've logged on chat before. There he is, Carrot Bunga.
Came back in. Hey, buddy.
Where he, this Carrot Bunga, he misrepresented this some limo stunt driver from the U.S. So he pulled a stunt with a rocket.
Okay.
But he never said that he's building a rocket to go to space. That's
so what happened with the rocket and the limo, like any more color?
Oh, he used to be a limo driver, or he's a car stunt driver or something. Nice. He does stunts.
I'm not gonna lie, I love driving. I used to do a lot of like fishtailing and like burnouts and reverse 180s and all that stuff back in the neighborhood. It's kind of dropping your hair down a little bit.
Let's hope that their new method of operation is to not come on the server anymore, so they can, sit back and say, "Hey, you got your echo chamber." Okay, I'm down with that. I don't mind.
But that's the sad part, the fact that you can't even because I figured this out without coming into Discord. I figured it out just like listening to both sides. And I had to go back and forth mentally myself, but I started to say, oh, well, if I was going to figure this out on my own, how would I figure it out? I'm like, oh, well, let's figure out what's the simplest argument here. And I'm like, oh, the measurement of the floor probably seems like the simplest one. And then I was like, yeah, so I can't prove space. I can't, everything. I started just using natural deduction. I'm like, well, I can't prove the fucking picture that they sent me. I can't prove space. I can't prove any of those. So those automatically just wiped off the whiteboard. I'm like, they can't be part of my decision-making process. because I can't verify them, you know? And if people just took that perspective or that method, how would you not get it? How would you not end up here?
I didn't get the deduction part. Deduction, as far as I know is what is it? You go from the specific to the general.
Yeah,
That's,
with the specific to the general.
Yeah, that's deduction. Am I correct? Let me look it up. Because there is also induction, and there is also abduction. So abduction is when you grab something and you literally run with it, like you take something at face value. Okay,
Sure.
it's like making an observation. For example, you and I observing the rainbow. That's abductive.
I thought deduction was the other way around, where it's like you had a wider scope of things, and you're like removing things as you can.
I think this is induction, but I could be incorrect. So let me look that up.
Sure. Because then if you had like multiple, things that were like, options in front of you, you could start to say, well, even though I can't prove the answer, let's say there's 10 variables or 10 things in front of me, and I can remove 9 of them just by deducting the ones that I can prove are wrong. I'm left with the one. So not saying it's right, but if I had to choose, if I knew one of them had to be, then it's most likely the one that's left after I've removed everything that could easily be deducted. Oh man, what happened to the airline pilots? I literally just said play and it disappeared on me.
So to deduct is, of course, to take away, the act of taking away something.
Yeah.
So again, deduction would be something that is or may be subtracted. The definition says the deriving of a conclusion by reasoning. So specifically, inference in which the conclusion about particulars follows necessarily from general or universal premises. Whereas induction, I think I got them the other way around, whereas induction is an initial experience no, in logic it would be inference of a generalized conclusion from particular instances. So that is more in accord with the scientific method. That one, along with abduction.
Yeah, that's spot on.
The act of bringing forward or adducing something, such as facts or particulars. The act of causing or bringing on or out. The rest is...
Yeah, because I think there's so much misinformation out there. That's probably the best way to go about things. If you can't get a solid answer, you're like, all right, well, I know it's not that. I know it's not that. I know it's not that. So at least my focus will be pointed in a different direction. I can eliminate some of the superfluous noise. Hey, Mike, how's it doing today?
I'm good. What's up with you?
Yeah, doing all right. Just saw you come into the room. You guys say what's up. And anybody have any questions about the nature of the Earth?
Well, I think everyone does.
Yeah, I got one.
Shoot.
How can the moon only, you know how everybody in the world sees the same face, it doesn't matter what day or week or year it is?
Mm-hmm.
By a rational point of view, you know how it rotates.
Yeah, I got one.
Shoot.
How can the moon only, you know how everybody in the world sees the same face, it doesn't matter what day or week or year it is?
Got a bit of an echo.
I think I understand the question. Should I rephrase it? Should I try and rephrase it, Dallas David? And if it's wrong, you can correct me on it. Dallas David, you there?
I think he was restarting or something because it was like a huge delay and then the echo.
But if I heard it right, I think what he's saying is that the moon goes through phases. We know this. We can see it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at each of those phases across different lunar months, then they are identical. And you cannot see the moon changing phase from the time where the moon rises up until the time where the moon sets. and it's exactly the same phase that it had the previous month.
Yeah, so it's like a transmission gears, right? You've got a revolution that's spinning, and you've got a big object. It's like having a big gear and a little gear, right? The little gear would have to spin faster than the big gear, right?
Sure.
Because the big gear is the one that's putting it in the pull.
Well, I'm not sure I understand this analogy, but if it was a ball, the moon, if it was a physical ball, and if the phases were a consequence of the moon being a physical rotating ball that rotates around the Earth, be it whatever, the Earth, right? So this
you're saying that the shadow it would have to change shadows just because of the revolutions of the Earth versus the moon. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But it does not.
Yeah, it would have to increase the shadow would have to increase in size as it went on. You know what I'm saying? It should actually go from like a quarter moon to a full moon in 24 hours or something.
No, then I don't know what you're saying. Because according to the ball story, if that's the one you refer to, the phases of the moon, the cause for the phases of the moon is that the moon, the ball moon is lit on one side only by the only light source that is available in this solar system, which is the sun. And it takes a month for the ball moon to rotate around the ball Earth.
Think about it like a 10-speed bicycle, right? And you get the big gear and the little gear, right? One of them gets easier, one of them gets harder. You got to think about the moon. You know, it's in a pull of gravity of the Earth. So it's
the sun also has a pull of gravity. If you go with that story.
Yeah. So, but the point being is we should not ever see the moon the way it is, where the same phases all the time. Just with the ratio of spin of the Earth versus spin of the moon should spin more than it does. Does that make sense to you?
Not really, I'm afraid. Why do you think it should spin more than?
Because of its size versus the size of the Earth. If there's a gravitational pull of the Earth is stronger than the moon, right?
That's what they say.
Yeah, so it's just like when you change the gears on a 10-speed bicycle, right? You know how you go from a big sprocket to a little sprocket. You know how that works?
Yes, but I do not see the analogy.
Oh.
But the globehead will say that, well, the informed globehead will say that the rate of revolutions when something orbits the Earth is dependent only on the altitude that it has from the surface. So the closer to the Earth a satellite flies, the faster it will be going.
Yeah, you're talking about like chain link from here to the moon. If you put a chain around it versus the Earth, just imagine wrapping a chain around the Earth and then going around the moon and doing it like two sprockets, right?
I'll try.
Okay, so you've got two sprockets, and you got the big sprocket is where you got your pedals at for your bicycle, right? So you got the moon is the little sprocket that's turning the wheel. So the thing is it physically possible for the moon only to show one phase with the moon and the Earth being a sprocket-driven mechanism? Like it because of gravity, the way they say it works, it's all drawn to the center, so it'd be basically just an even pull all the way around, right? So you get what I'm getting at?
Yeah, but not exactly, because they will say that the moon and the earth are an instance where space balls become what they call gravitationally locked, tidally locked to each other.
Yeah, that would be like a gear.
They will
That
say,
would be
and
like
they
a
will
gear
write.
ratio.
They will write books about it. They
You
will
got
not
to
just
think
say
about
it.
it. You got to think about it like the gear ratio, right? Does the gear ratio match up? Like you got 411 gears, 373 gears, whatever in a car, right? In the rear end. Does the gear ratio of the moon versus the Earth in a sprocket driven universe, does it add up to what they're saying right now? Because gravity is all pulled toward the center, so the moon's always being pulled at a certain amount. That's why the way it works, right?
Well, they will say that it's not pulled exactly to the center. And then they will write books after books after books that they explain with math why you see all those motions that you see on the moon.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's not the only hole in their story, Dallas David. It's full of them.
Oh, I know it. I'm just wondering if the ratio of the phases of the moon could be added up with the spin of the Earth. Because you've got supposedly, the Earth's got revolutions per day. It's about 1,000 miles per hour, and the moon moves at a certain. They've got a speed for the moon, right? So does that speed actually add up correctly? Has anybody ever done the math to see if the moon was a sprocket, to the Earth, if that math even adds up to what the phases of the moon are? You get what I'm getting at?
I get what you're getting at, but
Someone probably did the math, and they are flat earthers now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you could justify the phases of the moon with their revolution, because the moon has a speed also. It supposedly has an axis that spins. We just happen never to see the other side.
Correct.
Is there a way? Is there a physically possible way for that to happen when you have a moon that's 6,600 miles around versus Earth that's 25,000 miles around? Is it physically possible for that to ever happen? Could you build a mechanism where you had it connected to the Earth where that could be possible? You see what I'm saying? Because it's in the gravitational pull of the Earth. So is there any physical way possible for that to even happen?
No, there isn't. And the other day we calculated over here that the sun pulls on the moon gravitationally as well. And it pulls anywhere from 3 to 5 times stronger than the Earth pulls the moon. So how does that work?
I don't know. You'd have to call that like the Goldilocks spin or something like that, where the moon's in the Goldilocks zone, where it just happens to be where everybody sees the same phase and the same side and the same everything every year after year after year. Now I see what you're saying. Is that physically possible with the moon being 6,600 miles in circumference?
Now I see what you're saying. I believe what the globehead will say it will be that this is random. That's what the globehead will say. That if you look at other planets, they will say, and the moons of other planets, the moons spin around themselves at whichever random way. So the spin of the moon around its own axis when you presuppose it's a ball, according to the space ball story, is independent of the spin.
Yeah, but they've actually got a measured speed on that thing, right? I'm just wondering if they've already got a set speed for that, of what the moon would have to be spinning versus. Look up, just type in. My keyboard's broke. Type in rotational speed, speed of the moon, like the Earth. The Earth's 1,000 miles an hour, so.
At the equator.
What
But even philosophically speaking, like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that the sun would hold the Earth in orbit and not the moon, and that the Earth would hold the moon and not the sun. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, we've got chain gravity, which doesn't even go with the idea that the larger body would attract both, which is what should happen.
Yeah, you'd have a chain around the Earth and the moon, and then you have a chain around the sun and the Earth, and then you have some star. I guess it'd be the North Star. There'd be a chain around the sun and the North Star, right? That's how it'd work. And then it'd spin back around, and then there'd be from the pole star, the North Star, it'd pull to the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Is that the story?
More or less. Where it would be that you have a chain between the Earth and the Moon, and then you have a chain between the Sun and the Earth, and then you have a chain between the Sun and the Moon that is 3 to 5 times, it's pulling 3 to 5 times stronger than the chain between the Earth and the Moon.
See, Iron Base is shouting fighting words from the chat, not in the live stream.
Sound check, lost 1 to lost 3. Are you lost 2? Sound check.
Yeah, you are.
Awesome. Horizontal level literalist, that FTFE is really pushing it.
Yes, he is.
What the hell is the problem?
I think I might have said this before. I'm going to have to say it again. I think Iron Base is really
Say again, Jedi.
just in the text room, just spouting nonsense. Someone telling him to come in here. I can't be bothered to type anymore.
Your audio is coming very muffled to me. I couldn't make out what you were saying.
And you got to remember, the moon looks like it's moving the same speed on the ground. The sun and the moon are about moving about the same speed. You get what I'm saying? Because if you took out, say you took out, a speed reader or whatever you call it, a radar gun that would measure speed, and you pointed it at the moon and the sun, they'd from Earth they'd move about the same speed. You want to agree with that?
I've never pointed the radar to the moon, so I don't know. Or to the sun.
Yeah, but it's like a car going down the road. You can kind of tell how fast it's going. You know what I mean?
In principle, you should.
What I'm saying, they pretty much look like they're moving the same speed. Except when you're in a car and the moon's out. I don't know, something different about, because the moon looks like it moves faster when you're in a car going 60 miles an hour than the sun does. That's a strange anomaly too.
Hey, do we have a globe head on the? He says 4 blocked messages. So I click on that one. No evidence for a container. Yeah, besides the pressurized air that you're breathing. No evidence Antarctica surrounds Earth.
We've already settled that there's no air pressure, man. We've already settled that like 6 months ago.
No evidence of rockets stopping at a certain height. At a certain heat.
Well, you got to remember, you take the thermodynamic capabilities of rocket fuel, and then you put it in a vacuum, and then you look at the amount of fuel you got to carry with you. That thing will burn. It'll burn fuel worse than a big block 454. Have you ever drove like a big block Chevrolet or something like that and seen what kind of fuel mileage it gets?
Gets great about gas mileage if you know how to tune it.
And then he says, no evidence of being stationary.
You could tune up a big block all you want to. It's going to suck that fuel.
I got a 427 right now. It gets 30 miles a gallon on the highway.
Man, you ain't got no 427 gets 30.
Yeah, I do. So you got to know how to keep an engine running without burning a lot of fuel. That's the trick of tuning. See all these things you learn. If you learn about thermodynamics, you learn about race cars, you learn about building engines, you learn these things. Just because you've been taught or have seen this not happen in your life doesn't mean it's not possible. So Dave, you got to open your mind a little bit and do some research and figure out why.
Wibbly levels.
We've been worried about you.
I've been behind the wheel of every make and model of every automobile ever made.
Yeah, it's like saying I have a taxi driver that has 1 million miles and I'm going to put him in a NASCAR. Sorry, pal. Hours don't cut it.
Well, I said I've been in every make and model of car.
Doesn't matter. You've never
not every one of them, but I've been in. I pretty much crawl by.
Talking to somebody that knows the shit, and you know nothing but having seat time in every single car on the street. Big deal.
We're only humans. We worried about you, right? So
I know you are. I appreciate that. I worry about you guys too all the time.
So do you bring magnificent, rich, and glorious evidence that we live on a spinning sphere in vacuum with air magically coating it?
That I do.
Let me get the popcorns.
Sit down, get your notepad, and let's get rolling. We got lots to talk about.
If you put a chain around the Earth and the moon, right, that would be how the moon would rotate. It would have to rotate at a RPM comparable to the Earth because it's in the gravitational field of the Earth. Is that true or false?
No, it's false.
Well, how can that be? If there's a gravitational field pulling on the moon to hold it in orbit around the Earth, the orbital speed of the moon would be dictated by the size of the Earth and the gravitational pull of the Earth's mass. Correct?
Correct, but not the position. And the position would have.
You can have
the Earth spinning.
What are you saying? Not the position.
I'm saying you can have the Earth spinning at any rotation you want. That will not change the orbital velocities and distances of the moon.
Then gravity doesn't. The gravity's theory of gravity is wrong completely.
Wrong because you don't understand it, or wrong because you don't understand it?
Gravity on the moon.
You have two options here. You have two options. Wrong because you don't understand it, or is it wrong because you don't understand it?
What?
Is it wrong because you don't understand it? And centripetal force is not a chain. It's not a physical chain tied to a position. All it is a relative position to that object, a distance.
No, gravity's a constant, right? Gravity's a constant. It's not a variable.
What? Constant what?
Gravity is a constant field,
constant
right?
What?
Field.
No, it's not a constant field.
What is it then?
It's inconsistent. It has different levels proportional to its distance.
No, what do you mean it's got different levels? Proportional to what?
Distance. It's mass.
And mass, exactly. So you've got the mass of the moon at 6,600 miles around, and the Earth at 24,000 or 25,000 miles around. So there's a natural size of mass versus size of rotational speed.
Dallas, come on, man. You got to steady up on this stuff. You don't understand it, and you're trying to espouse to say that you do. You don't.
I'm telling you, in reality,
You can have a mass spin. Rotation is completely independent of its falling rate. For example, if I could throw a knuckleball or I could throw a curveball. It doesn't matter. The rate at which
Dallas was just asking a question.
I think Dallas with no rotation or a curveball with rotation, both will fall at the same rate. You understand that?
I think Dallas is onto something here. He's making great points.
No, he's making no points. He's nonsense.
He was asking questions, though.
Half a brain would see that it's nonsense because you can throw a knuckleball or you can throw a curveball.
All right, here's how we'll start. Here's how we'll go. We'll go back to the point
how fast it falls.
In reality, right, with the phases of the moon that they are, the moon would have to be an object that does not spin at all, right?
No, wrong.
No, from our perspective on Earth, the moon does not spin, right?
Or it spins at the same rate we spin at.
Yeah, no, that's the story. It spin because that's the reason we can't see it spin.
Actually, it doesn't. It doesn't spin at the same rate we do either.
No, it would have to spin at a gravitational shield force. What the size of the Earth versus the size of the moon is.
It's not a geosynchronous. It's not a geosynchronous orbiting satellite. It actually spins at a different rate.
It just depends on your perspective.
What perspective are you looking at?
So if you're on the perspective of the moon, you're potentially spinning in comparison to the sun.
If you're from the perspective of the moon with respect to the sun, you're spinning what?
Spinning at probably around the same rate that the Earth's spinning at, because you're tightly locked with the sun spin, the Earth spin.
No, the Earth spins at a different rate that the moon spins.
Why do we only see one side of the moon the whole time? How comes we don't slowly see anything more than the same side of the moon we always see?
You think the RPM of the moon is the same as the Earth?
I mean, how can it possibly be tightly locked if it's not?
You're talking about its rotational spin.
Yeah.
Yeah, not its positional.
The rate on the surface of the moon is obviously going to be different.
Well, no, there's a
it's
spin
totally
around
different
the Earth,
size spin.
It's on its axis, and you have a spin around the Earth, right? The spin around the Earth is a different rate than your spin.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm talking about its actual. Its actual
spin. Yeah, it's tidally locked. Correct.
It's what now?
I think Dallas, wasn't you talking about the same thing?
No, the spin on its axis is different than its rotation around the Earth.
It's definitely. I mean, there's no reason why it would be the same. That would be ludicrous. If it was, that would just be coincidence.
It's called geostationary. You could have it at altitude.
Yeah, I guess if it was always in one spot.
You're right. The moon has an equator, right? Just like the Earth's got an equator.
Yep.
But the equator on the moon is what? It's north to south instead of east to west?
Sorry, I need to object here. What do you mean by equator? What is how you define the equator?
Because it's a sphere. Because it's a sphere, it's got an equator.
Who is the sphere?
The model.
It's supposedly a sphere, and if it's a sphere, it's got an equator.
Dallas is correct.
The model has.
If it's spinning.
If it's spinning, has an equator. If it's standing still, there's no need for an equator, right?
Correct. Yep.
The model has the equator, though, doesn't it?
I mean, the equator just means
model mean. Please, someone.
Or you're telling us that it's not spinning now, is what you're saying.
Of course it's spinning.
That's what I'm saying. Once you go over 1 mile an hour, right? As soon as you go from zero spin to 1 mile an hour, there is no way physically possible with the size of the moon versus the size of the Earth that you'd only see one side of the moon, everybody on Earth. It's physically impossible for that to happen where the phases of the moon would stay constant in a 24-hour period.
Dallas, David, I don't understand. What do you mean by 1 mile an hour spin?
All right, it's like cranking the pedals on a bicycle, right? You're sitting still, and then you just start to take off, and as soon as you start to move, right that's where rotational speed starts. So once the moon starts up and gets going, then you've got to be able to prove that there is a physically possible way with the size of the moon versus the size of the Earth that everybody on Earth would only see one side. Is physically impossible. Your story.
No, Dallas, it works if it spins at the same exact rotational speed as the Earth.
Correct. You can't
Actually,
have
but it's a little bit. Well,
you can't have the same.
Maybe a little bit off.
You can't have the same rotational speed.
No, it won't be. It'll be actually exactly the same.
When you have strong gravitational fields with bodies that are in orbit, they will slow their actual spins down and become tidally locked. It's not uncommon.
It's not uncommon.
I actually wonder. I wonder if, like, over, let's say, the past 2,000 years, if there has been a slight shift in the moon. That'd be a really interesting thing to think about.
I don't know, man. I'm not 3,000 years old.
Because if you think about it, like, what was it? That last what was the last biggest volcanic explosion that happened on Earth? I think it was somewhere in Malaysia or somewhere around that area. It actually affected the rotational speed of Earth. It was that big of an explosion.
If there is one.
And if but I think actually what would end up happening is the Earth may start spinning at a different rate, but the moon will very quickly get tidally locked again.
There was a fart at the model.
You got to think about it like a chain around from the Earth, just like a bicycle sprocket, two sprockets. You got a chain around the moon, around the Earth. Because
no, you don't have to look at it like that. Actually, you don't have to look at it at all.
For your
chain. You're right in that it has a force acting on it, which is called the centripetal force. But it's not a physical chain. If it was, you'd be correct, Alice. But it's not a chain. It's a force, and it can spin. You know,
it would be like a rope.
You ever see that Star Trek character has the two balls? That one ball on the top stays stationary, and the ball underneath rotates.
What?
You can have that with magnets, right? You can do a magnetic attraction and still have a space between them.
Are you saying the moon is a magnet, Zanik?
No, I'm just saying it's an analogy that you don't need to be tied to something physically to actually be attracted.
Analogy or an example?
You can have a magnet.
Yes.
A magnet, two magnets, two ball magnets.
It's not a magnet, but I mean the force of gravity. The pull that it has between two objects of that size is very similar to a magnetic pull that you would have with two very small objects on Earth.
It is?
Yes.
It's just a force.
What about the pull that you described?
Forces don't care what causes them.
On the moon. What about that pull then?
What's that?
What about the pull, like Branch said, that likens it to a magnetic pull. What about the pull that the sun exerts on the moon?
It does. It definitely does.
Yeah. So how strong is that pull compared to, say, the pull that the Earth exerts on the moon?
It's very weak because of the distance.
Very weak because of the distance. How weak is that? Can you give it to me in newtons?
I haven't done the math.
Which is the unit of measurement.
I don't know the math.
I don't know
the math. I haven't done the math. I don't know it.
You haven't?
I have.
But how do you know then that it's
I'm telling you,
little?
From principle, it's going to be a lot less because the distance is a lot less.
Right. It goes to
but the sun is way more massive, isn't it?
It's also, yeah, you're right. It's massive.
Yeah,
right. But you also understand distance plays a bigger part than mass actually does.
Can you demonstrate that with
How would you know that?
Mathematical equation?
We told you that the pull, this gravitational field, this force.
Zanik, I know what he told me. I was here when he was telling me. Remember, it was a few seconds ago.
Listen, the field strength is proportional to its distance, right?
No, it's inversely proportional.
Exactly.
It's not proportional.
Inversely proportional. That is the proportion. Inversely proportional. Right, correct. So that's why when you go farther away, the force is actually less. It's still pretty strong.
The force of what?
That much mass in orbit, but only going 2,000 miles an hour. It's only orbiting the Earth at 2,000 miles an hour.
It's not.
So how strong? How strong is the pull that
What is it orbiting the Earth at?
the sun exerts on the moon, according to all this gravitational space?
The sun has a very small force on the
I
moon.
accept
all
of them.
Mercury,
all of them.
I made a mistake, dude. You know what?
Even the
There's
gas
actually the
pressure
sun
without
does
a
affect the
container.
moon. The sun,
Even
the
Star
sun
Trek.
does affect the moon.
Even Star Wars.
It affects the moon very, very slightly. It affects both the Earth and the moon.
In this endeavor of yours to prove gravity.
Hey, do you
We
guys know
actually have a
that
very large moon.
Mercury also is tidally locked to the sun?
Jose.
You knew that, right? Mercury is
So now
tidally
the question.
The sun is huge. Why is Mercury tidally? Are you listening?
Yes.
Tidally locked. Mercury does not rotate around when it's facing the sun. It's tidally locked.
You mean mercury that we use in the thermometer?
What's that?
You mean mercury that we use in thermometers? That's the mercury I know
A
of.
celestial body called Mercury.
The one you can see by looking through a telescope. You ever seen Mercury in a telescope before?
Yes.
Okay, it's tidally locked. You don't see it rotate. It's one face, always faces the sun, but you can rotate.
Always looks like a fuzzy point of light.
Hold on.
If you have a good telescope, you can actually see it pretty clearly.
Hold on a minute.
How good a telescope would that be?
If you take two
A real good
spheres,
one.
right?
How good one?
If you take two marbles,
expensive.
Right? Can I say something?
Pretty big.
You remember when they used to have those glass marbles, and they had the big ones and the little ones, right? If you took a big marble and a little marble and you put them on a table, there is no way that you could spin either one of those at any speed, and one of them always face the big one. Once you crank up the little one, there is no way physically possible. There's no way physically possible for the big
classic
one.
Dallas Dave nonsense.
Think about it, man. As soon as it cranks up just 1 mile an hour, as soon as you just start turning that little one a little bit, there is no way that everybody's going to see the same phase. How does that work?
You try to explain, but you don't want to get it.
No, it ain't that I don't get it. It's not. You need to show.
You get it.
In reality, you can't make it work.
I still didn't hear Branch answering the question about comparing the gravitational pull that the Earth exerts on the moon with the gravitational pull that the sun exerts on the moon.
I mean, if you want to do the math about it, right, it's actually going to be, okay, let's just say, for hell's sake, right, let's say is a fifth of the mass of the sun. Right? And let's just say that the distance between the two is the same. The sun and the moon and the moon and and Earth and the moon. Then you're probably going to look at about a fifth of difference because it's proportional to mass.
So did you calculate this by plugging in the mass of the moon?
No, it's because the mass and the gravitational force is directly proportional.
No, it's inversely proportional.
The mass and the force of gravity is directly proportional.
According to the Bolt story, that is correct.
Okay.
Your point?
So did I answer your question? You asked me
no,
to give you an answer.
Not at all.
Okay. How can I
calculation on
the moon rotates?
In the mood right now to bring out a calculator, my man. Come on.
It rotates once every 27 days, right?
That's what they say, Dallas, David. Yes.
It's 6,600 miles in diameter, in circumference, right? And it only spins on its axis, or its equator only goes back around to itself every 27 days. So it's only moving at what? 1 mile an hour or 5 miles an hour?
What are you talking about?
Moving
doesn't it make sense, bro? Doesn't it make sense, guys?
How do you
The moon
measure
around
this?
the Earth is 1,000 kilometers per second. What are you talking about?
You've got the size of you've got put an equator on the moon, and if it rotates back to its own equator every 27 days, then it's moving at what, 5 miles an hour?
It can't escape the Earth because the escape velocity for the Earth is about 1.2 thousand meters per second. It's traveling at 1,000 meters per second.
I'm talking about.
You can't learn anything if you keep on talking over people, Dallas. But I'm telling you,
I think the question that you wanted to ask
is 1.2
you asked it
kilometers per
correctly.
second. 1.2 kilometers per
That you
second.
wanted to ask. Go ahead, Dallas. My
Again,
bad. Sorry.
The escape velocity is 1.2 kilometers per second. The moon spins around the Earth at 1 kilometers per second. So you can say the moon is attracted to the Earth in that way. So the sun does not have the power to rip the moon away from that type of power, that type of gravitational force.
Right. And because even though the Earth ain't as big as the sun, because it's so close to the moon, it's going to have a much greater gravitational force because it's inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two.
It's like the third or the fourth time that you just asserted.
Hold on,
and you're not calculating it. And hold on, Dallas David, give me 2 minutes, please. And you're just asserting it.
No,
Branch,
we've given
hold
evidence
on, Branch, give me 2 minutes, please, so I can sort this out with Branch.
The sun. We know that the sun is.
Thank you, Zanik, for those 2 minutes.
Right.
That I need to sort this out with Branch. Right. So the formula for the gravitational pull that you're quoting is a known thing. You can look up what the value for big G is, and you can look up what the values for the so-called masses of the so-called planetary bodies are.
Right.
Same with the sun. And you can also look up what is the so-called distances, the distance of the moon to the Earth and the distance from the moon to the sun. You can look all those up in the literature. It will take you less than 5 minutes. You can do it now.
It definitely would take less than 5 minutes.
And if you are able, hold on, Dallas David, my 2 minutes, Dallas David, please. You said you're gonna let me have 2 minutes. So you can look at this up.
2 minutes.
You can look this up in under 5 minutes.
It's been about 2 minutes though.
And you can plug in the values to the equation, and you can calculate.
All right, but so can you. So can you. So don't ask me to do it for you.
I got a real simple question. Okay, how long does it take to stand
on the moon and the force in newtons that the Earth
for you?
Guys, you can't talk over each other. It sounds stupid. Stop it.
Yeah, let's stop talking over each other, everyone.
My God.
Who's got the conch? Who's got the conch?
Okay.
Can I say one thing?
Talking over each other now. Can I now say to Branch what I was trying to say to Branch while you were talking over me repeatedly?
Go ahead, bro. Tell me what he's gonna say, man.
Okay. So you can look up the values right now. It will take you perhaps 5 minutes, perhaps a little bit more. I'm not judging. Nobody is, and nobody should. And you plug those in the equation. That all you need to know in order to calculate this is to multiply numbers and divide numbers, and you can come up with
absolutely. I mean, I could also just type in Google and ask Google.
But there's the unit of. I'm not quite done.
Summarize for you, dances. Can I give you a quick
summary? I'm not
Can I
quite
give you a quick summary? Dances. Can I just 5
no,
seconds?
You can just wait
5 seconds.
30 seconds.
5 seconds. 5
You
seconds.
can wait for 30 seconds.
5 seconds.
Finish my point, and then you.
You've made it. You've talked about what you can do as far as you're not making a point. You're just talking about making.
It's not heard.
I have an answer for you. You have an answer
to what? What was the question?
Your question and your statement, everything in one sentence.
Which was what? What was it?
The sun. We know the sun has more of a pull on the moon than the Earth does. We don't have to go through the calculations. We all agree, I hope, that is true.
Branch doesn't agree.
Yes, Branch will agree when he hears the rest of what I have to say. The reason that the moon does not get ripped away from the Earth is because it has a stronger grasp of the moon than the Earth, than the sun will have on the moon.
All right. Did anyone on panel right now?
That's what we're saying.
Sounds like
anyone
double
understand what Zanik said?
Because the sun has a much stronger, I guess like twice the strength, twice the force on the moon than the Earth does. But it's still much closer to the Earth, so it basically has to escape the Earth's. Even though it's weaker, it can't. It can't be broken away from the pull that we have on the moon. So it does make orbital.
You also got to think about it this way, dude.
It
The
will be
moon
so much fun to
itself
read.
is in orbit around the sun already. Velocity, which is tangential to the force of gravity, which is keeping itself in orbit around the sun while it rotates around the Earth.
Yeah, this mass system.
Calculate the force in newtons, please, Branch.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. What you're,
Calculating
I
it
think,
when
I
I
think, I think
first
what you're
told
trying to
you
do is
it's
this.
done by now.
I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure out the actual value of gravity between the sun and the moon.
Yes.
Zero.
And between the Earth and the moon. And then you're trying to figure out why the moon isn't being ripped away.
But we already know, so we have
because the sun has a bigger pull.
Brand,
You got to understand, the moon is already in orbit
take a breath for a
around.
second. Take a breath for a second. So we now know that the pull on the moon is twice as strong with the sun than it is with the Earth.
No.
So the question is, yes, it is.
No, really.
Yes, it is. So your question is,
No.
why
You can't have
listen,
gravity because you need mass. and you-
Branch, let me finish.
That's not Branch.
So
I'm not Branch.
Whoever is talking.
God.
Listen.
You're talking rubbish
So-
again, though, Zanik. You've like
No,
skipped
I'm
a load
talking
of steps
statement.
and you're just carrying on.
Simple statement. If we know that the sun's pull on the moon is twice
We
that of
don't
the
know that the sun's pull on the moon, though. That's the whole point that I'm trying to get to you.
I've done it. I've done it, and it's true.
You've done it.
The question is, why isn't it pulled away?
It's
and
not.
That's the question. Of course, it's not pulled away.
No,
because there's
no
forces
gravity.
involved.
No shit, Sherlock.
Drop something, there's gravity.
No, it's not pulled away because the moon is already in orbit around the sun.
Oh,
It's already
right.
got enough velocity to keep it
part
in
of it.
orbit around the sun.
That's part of it.
Pace
That is
around
not-
the Earth
not
while it
turning
goes
yet.
around the sun.
Has it been 2 minutes yet?
It has.
So you're right, Branch. It's very, it's correct what you said. Exactly. That's part of it. Actually, not all of it, but a good portion of it. They're both orbits. It's a mass system. It's a dual mass system with forces that are balanced, revolving and rotating around the sun. That we know the gravitational. If you look it up, you just do the basic.
Do you just
calculation.
have to say all of this stuff? Is it on a list that you just have to keep
can
coming
do
in
this.
here
No,
and
you
saying?
don't
He doesn't want
Simple
me to
math.
talk. What do you
It's
think?
simple math.
No.
He doesn't want me to talk. He knows He knows.
Go
he
ahead,
can't-
Dallas. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You don't want to hear what I got to say. I already know that.
Well, don't say gibberish. You talk some, talk some intelligence here. We'll listen.
All right, when you're at the Panama Canal, which is on the equator, it takes 24 hours, or the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour for you to get back to where you started from, right?
Before a little bit. Actually,
Okay.
yeah.
On the moon, if you're
I
standing
mean, you got to
on the
consider leap years, right?
If
Shit
you're
like
on
that.
the moon and you're standing on the equator, how long does it take for you? What speed are you rotating at to get back to yourself?
You're right. It's 24 hours. I'm just fucking around.
No, what's the speed?
Just it's 20. It's 24.
No, there's a speed. It's 1,000 miles per hour on the Earth. What speed are you traveling at on the equator of the moon to get back to where you started from?
24 hours a day.
No, it's got to be a certain mile per hour. Just like the Earth's 1,000, the moon's moving at a certain RPM. What is it?
Hey, the rotational period is 24 hours a day.
No, it takes 27 days for it to get back on itself. So what is it moving at a
What are
half
you talking
mile
about?
an
The
hour?
moon's rotational speed.
Dallas David is correct.
I mean, just misunderstood the question.
Okay, on the
Hey, Dallas
equator-
is correct because Dallas is usually correct about a lot of stuff.
If you're
I've
standing
known
on
Dallas for a very long time, and I haven't seen him being wrong about when he comes up with stuff. I listen because he's usually correct.
I liked his point the other day that you cannot fly around Russia. That was interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
And evidently true.
evidently.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you need to
It's about
obtain permission from the
perspective.
Russians.
Always about perspective on what's true and what's true, and even when you talk about rotational periods and things like that, that all shifts when you talk about perspective. So it's always about perspective.
Yeah, but it all goes to hell when you can't really.
It is exactly about perspective, because the moon is spinning at a rotational speed at its equator, and whoever would be standing like an astronaut was standing on the equator of the moon, he would spin back around on himself at what speed?
Again, now it's a perspective.
Let's calculate this, Dallas,
what
David.
speed in comparison to what? Because you got to understand that speed is a relative concept.
No, speed is not a relative concept, other than what how
absolutely a relative concept.
You're talking about a rotation on itself. You're talking about one rotation of the moon on itself. The word is it was 27 days, right?
Right, but are you talking about where the astronaut was standing in perspective to the sun, or the moon, or the Earth?
I don't care. I don't if the astronaut's eyes are closed and he's standing on the equator of the moon and he wakes up. How many days is it going to take for him to wake up to be where he started? Because he's rotating. So how fast is he rotating? Where he would go in a complete circle and
The
come back?
moon rotation is tightly locked